Hello, this is this week in Tutuca. This week I've been working on the visible side on a new storybook component that is on the landing page somewhere near the bottom here. It's a component, you can see it here, it's mostly imports and a list of things, but it allows you to list other components with examples. So for example, here I want to show the counter with the default setup. So it starts at 0 and works. And what happens if I initialize it with a negative value, if it works. And the same for others. You can not only like display the final top level component, like a default task list that comes with no items, but also like with some items. But you can also see like intermediate or low level components. How does an item look by default, when it's marked completed, when it's completed and empty, or for example in the JSON editor, this is an empty array with selector, how an empty object looks like, a type selector, string value. So you can show like all the pieces in different states and play with them individually. And you can get as complex as you want. And of course, my other party trick is to put things inside themselves. So here is the storybook example with two elements inside of it. And here is a single section. Here is a single example. And here is the inception example of storybook inside of storybook. So you can, for example, do a JSON editor inside of an example inside of a section inside of a storybook inside of a storybook, and as you can see, it still like works fine. The other thing I did is support for drag and drop on. We can see it there, I think. Yeah, I can show it here because I'm not on mobile, but drag and drop now works on mobile with touch events. I've also worked on performance improvements. I remove generators, I remove iterators, I remove indirection and allocations. Also, in the previous one, I mentioned that in the tutorial, one thing that the linter catches, but that it will generate an exception anyway, was infinite recursion. That is when you render it, basically you render the component inside of itself, it will like go forever. In this case now it doesn't. And if you, let's see if I can do it. If I inspect the element, it will put a comment in that place saying recursion avoided, where it detects that a component is rendering itself. And I fixed a bug with computed properties inside the rendering directive. They wouldn't render correctly. So this was this week on Tutuca.